I don't know if it's like the area that I live in or where I go, but I always find myself in a position where I have to defend Islam. And the charge, see, it's not that I'm trying to defend Islam. I'm not like, I'm the Islam defense minister. No, it's just that the charges placed against the religion, especially the charges against the Islamic prophet Muhammad or against the Quran, are essentially just not true. Yesterday I was in the sauna, and I saw a guy, like European Italian guy, and you know we're talking about, because the sauna's a weird place. It's just a bunch of guys in like towels and like kind of naked, just like talking about stuff. So talk about politics, talk about like whatever, right? And I was talking about how weird it is. We were talking about how weird it is that the Old Testament could be, at the very least, what it could be is stories passed down from generation to generation to generation of wisdom that was brought down. So if you look at like what are those stories? They could be, at the very least, like fairy tales. And what I mean by fairy tales is kind of like what we do as human beings is we take something that's real and we write it in a way that makes it more story-like, to exaggerate some things, you know? And we take those stories and we pass them down from generation to generation. And I find that in the modern context, we look at the Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, and what we do is we basically go, oh, that's for fools. Well, is everybody a fool for all of history except for you? Like, how arrogant is it that you think that, what, because you have modern toilets? Like, what makes you so much smarter than somebody from 200 years ago? Actually, I would argue that they have to be more resourceful. Maybe we know more, maybe we read more books, but if you look around, some of us read more books, but if you look around, you'll find that people are really not that intelligent at all. So I don't think that anybody is smarter now than they were 200 years ago. Anyways, we're talking about this theory, you know, and then somebody says that, yeah, but Christianity is the way because Muhammad wanted to kill everybody. He was a murderer, and he wanted to force people into his religion, and he wants to burn down churches. And I was like, and there was a Muslim guy that was beside me, and they were starting to, you know, get into it, the two of them. And then I wanted to ask the guy, I was trying to ask the guy, he was ignoring me eventually, but I wanted to ask the guy, where are you getting your information from? So the first thing I asked him was, have you ever read the Quran? Have you ever read it? And obviously he said no. And what I think it is these charges against Islam are given to you by the news. And the reason why they're given to you by the news, not to, you know, there's other reasons, but the main reason, because they want to go into these lands, they want to invade them. So what do you want to do? You want to make their religion seem as evil as possible. But I asked him if he ever read the Quran, because the Quran says very, very clearly that there is no compulsion in religion. Actually, it says more than that. It says that the Christians are the people of the book. Essentially, that Muslims have to respect the religion of Christians. And then he was talking about how in the Middle East, they burn down churches. Well, if that was the case, Islam has been around for about 1400 years. Wouldn't it be the case that those churches wouldn't even exist? So if they're burning down the churches now, what's stopping them from burning down the churches 200 years ago? What you'll notice is that these people, they don't think. An idea pops into their head, or they are like in front of the boob tube. They're in front of the television because they're telling a vision. And you have your preachers. You have your preachers on CNN. You have your preachers on Fox News. You have your preachers everywhere. And they've got rid of the churches. They got rid of the mosque. People don't go to church anymore in this society. They got rid of it. And then what they do is they put on your Fox News and they tell you why we need to go to war, why we need to do this, why we need to do that, why we need to pay money here, why we need to do this. And they're basically socially engineering the society. And one thing that they want to do is they want to invade the Middle East. So in order to invade the Middle East, you have to make their religion seem super evil. So he'd said this crazy stuff about Muhammad. And I said, where are you getting your information from? And clearly he's never read the Quran one time in his life. So what makes these people so arrogant where they can disparage an entire religion without even reading the religion? And what I said to him was, okay, fine. Okay, maybe you're right. I know you're not right, but maybe you're right. So maybe what you should do then is read the book. So if you want to know if a religion is good or bad, why don't you read the source material instead of listening to people who may or may not have an intention? Why don't you do that? If I wanted to know if Hinduism was a good religion or a bad religion, I'd read the Bhagavad Gita. If I wanted to know if Christianity is a good religion or not, I'd read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You want to know, and then the funny thing is he switched his argument, and his argument went, there's extremists. The extremists make it bad. Well, communism is a fantastic idea, except for the extremists. Christianity is a fantastic idea, except for the extremists. So are you mad at extremists, or are you mad at the religion? Or are you just trying to disparage any belief system that's not like yours? Maybe you could look at it like this. Maybe you could look at religion, some religions. It seems like the religions that are standing, we're in a battle of ideas. It's really a battle of ideas. Nietzsche said, we killed God and will be living in his blood for the next 200 years, paraphrasing. Okay, but the idea is once you kill religion, you become your own God. And how's that working out for everybody? Is the heedlessness done yet? Is the depression done yet? Because all I can see now is that everybody's on SSRIs, which is antidepressants. Everybody's drowning themselves in alcohol. Everyone's doing a bunch of nonsense that are not how I think that they should live. And it's not my belief on why they should live like that, because if they were living a better way, they wouldn't have to take drugs to cope. They wouldn't have to take alcohol to cope. They wouldn't have to do all of these different drugs and all these pleasure seekers to cope. The weird thing is that the more we seek pleasure, the more we seek immediate pleasure, is the more we destroy our own selves. It's an oxymoron. It's a test within itself. So what seems good is bad, and what seems bad is good. But yet you disparage something that you know nothing about. If you're going to attack something, why don't you learn about it first? Why don't you read the source material? Is that fair enough? Is that fair enough? Because what you'll find is that what the Islamic book, the Quran, is saying is that there is no compulsion in religion. Makes it super clear. And why does it have to say that? Probably because people try to push religion on everybody. Don't you guys remember the woke movement? Aren't they pushing that on people? We always push our ideas, but then you have this religion that says don't push ideas, and then they misquote it and says it does. So it's either they're lying to themselves and pretending that they're smarter than they are, or they know that it's a lie and they're lying to others. Which one is it? So is it ignorance or lies?